Just let them do it. They're gonna shut the door. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Sallallahu Muhammad. Please, for our deceased, the gift of Fatiha, let's send them the blessings of 2 Qurans. On behalf of all of our marhum, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Every praise to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the most beneficent, most merciful. Master of the day of judgment, I serve only you. I beseech your help in everything that I do. Keep me on the straight path, the path that is true, the path of those who have gained favors by you, not the path of those who have earned your wrath, nor those who deviated from your guided path. Surah Ikhlas. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, most merciful. Say Allah is the singular numeral. There is nothing but Allah we need in this world. He begets not, nor begotten is He. Allah is the only OG. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul hu Allahu ahad. Allahus samad. Lam yulid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, most merciful. Say Allah is the singular numeral. There is nothing but Allah we need in this world. He begets not, nor begotten is He. Allah is the only OG. May Allah send blessings on Muhammad's family. May He quickly return my living Imam to me. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajil farajum. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajil farajum. Let's recite a very heartfelt, loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajil farajum. I want to offer condolences to Bibi Fatima Zahra on what will soon be the night of the 8th of Muharram. I want to offer condolences to Imam Hussein on this night that will soon be the night of 8th Muharram. I want to offer condolences to al-Banin, the mother of Hazrat Abbas, on this night that will soon be the 8th of Muharram. I want to offer condolences to Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, Amir al-Mu'mineen, on this 8th of Muharram. And I want to offer condolences to our living Imam, Imam Muhammad Mehdi Sahib Zaman alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajil farajum. Ya Allah, we praise you. Praises to the Most High. I praise He who will never die, the one who sees with no eyes, the most wise. He's the one who does with no tries, the fashioner of the Immaculate Five, the only one to ever be alive. To you, to your will, all things will abide. For fear of you, I've cried and cried. I cannot honor you no matter how hard I try, because I have limits that you decide. Always on my side. No children, no bride. In you I confide. All the times I've tried, all the tribulations I have survived. No matter where I go, I cannot hide from you. Keep me on the straight path you invite me to. The only thing that's real in this life is you. Forgive my sins despite what I do. This is what you wanted me to know about you, that you are one and not two. All the times I should have prayed, but I forgot to, and you still picked me up and said, my child, I got you. I will never worship anything that is not you. Send your blessings on Muhammad and his house too, and return my living Imam to me soon. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Ma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajil farajum. We'll have a poem by the children. Before they recite, since today is about Hazrat Abbas, I just want to remind everybody that al-Banin, the mother of Hazrat Abbas, was a poet. Her grandparents and her parents were poets. The grandchildren of Hazrat Abbas were poets. Poetry is one of the gifts that was given to us by this family, by Hazrat Abbas's maternal family, and from his paternal family through Bibi Zainab, through Bibi Fatima Zahra. Right? This is part of the gifts of the Ahlul Bayt, is poetry. With that, please allow salawat for these children poets. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajil farajum. Allahumma salli ala
Muhammad
wa ala Muhammad wajil farajul.
Kay be a soldier, alarm holder. I'll hear the alarm for you till the word is over. Kay be a soldier. Let me tell you about a hero named the Boss. His arms they fought for freedom until they cut them off. Makarbala soldier, alam holder, will hold the alam for ya until the world is over. Makarbala soldier, son of the lion of God, the lion of the tribe is what he was called. Ya Abbas, no matter what the cost. With you on our side, we are never lost. Baba Hawaj, the gateway to prayers. You stood by his hand when no one else was there. Makarbala soldier.
Makarbala soldier, alam holder, will hold the alam for ya until the world is over. Makarbala soldier, when he mounted Uqab, his mighty horse, he was so tall his feet touched the floor. Who would have known what they had in store when he rode for Sakina, rode for her thirst? He reached the river, but he didn't drink first. Alatash, the alam and the mushk, to knock down the flag of Islam. They sent the dogs to cut off his arms. Ya Abbas, his arms were lost. The mushk for Sakina, clenched with his teeth, an arrow from Hormula. The water bag was breached. My Karbala soldier.
Karbala soldier, alam holder, I'll hold the alam until the world is over. Karbala soldier. She was the daughter of Ali and the Lady of Light. Zainab was his sister, protected by might. The arms of Abbas, they protected her veil. With Abbas on her side, she would always prevail.
He was trained by the greatest, Hazrat Ali. There was no foe he could not defeat. When the lion he married, Benit, it was the day of Ashura he had on his mind. A companion for Hussein he would surely find.
In Karbala, the land of despair, neither Ali or Hassan, none would be there. Allah gave him a son, the gateway to prayers. Baba Hawaii would surely be there. Ya Abbas.
The flag of Islam will never be lost. He held it high until they took his hands. No Zainab bin Kulthum paraded through the lands. A veil snatched from their heads. The protector was dead. Yet they saved Islam, and that's all that was said.
Karbala soldier, alam holder, I'll hold the alam till the word is over. My Karbala soldier, let me tell you about a hero named the Boss. His arms fought for freedom until they cut them off. My Karbala soldier.
Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Thank you. Tonight we will talk about my Karbala soldier, alam holder. Let me tell you about a hero named Abbas. His arms, they fought for freedom until they cut them off. That is more than who Hazrat Abbas was. What Hazrat Abbas showed us is what we should expect when the Imam comes. What do I mean by that? Two things. One is, so when Imam Zamana comes, Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wajil farajul. Imam Hussein had a non-violent stand against violence and aggression, against tyranny, against hypocrisy, against lies, deceit, disrespect of his mother, disrespect of his father, disrespect of his brother's grave, disrespect of his sister's hijab, disrespect of everything that his grandfather had raised up. Imam Hussein had a non-violent stand against it. And what happened? What happened? Hazrat Ali Asghar was martyred. What happened? Hazrat Ali Akbar was martyred. What happened? The arms of Hazrat Abbas were cut off of his body. What happened? The veil of Bibi Fatima, Bibi Zainab had been taken. What happened? The door of Bibi Fatima had been burnt. This is what? Non-violence. The resolve people tried to do. What happened? And what was shown to us after that? Was there revenge? Did the Imam raise up and say, now give me my throne? Wasn't Imam Musa Kazim in prison too? Wasn't our 11th Imam martyred as well? When his son was barely 5 years old, our living Imam. The task of taking revenge. See, Allah shows us peace. Allah showed us patience. Allah showed us forgiveness. Allah showed us the power of having certainty. The power of trusting Allah. The power of believing that His plan is perfect. Because no matter how hard anyone tried, no matter how much you tipped the scale on the side of haram, on the side of hypocrisy, on the side of evil, were they ever able to eliminate the house of Fatima? Were they ever to eliminate us standing here talking about it without fighting? Without fighting, right? They fought as much as they needed to, right? But when Imam Zamana comes, his sword is going to be followed with a trail of blood for anybody who's ever disrespected the house of Prophet Muhammad is going to pay with their head and Imam Zamana's sword. And isn't that what we're told Hazrat Abbas is going to do? Would have done if he would have gone out there, the war would have been over. But he said, how many men in the army? They said 100,000. He said, impossible. Impossible. They would have beat us. So we expected Hazrat Abbas to make it rain blood, right? Now think about this. Let's say he had done that. Maybe one day we would think what would have happened if they had guns, and what would happen if they had bombs, and what would happen if they had lasers, and what would happen if they had lightsabers, and what would happen if they had this and tanks and this and that. When Imam Zamana comes, they're going to have all of that. And we're going to have our Imam here showing us the kind of strength that Allah, Imam was saying, Hazrat Abbas could have shown on the day of Ashura. But instead we chose to show you patience. And now we're tired of being patient. And it's time to show the enemies of the house of Fatima who the Ahlul Bayt are, and what the might of Allah is, and what Zulfiqar could do, what Hazrat Abbas could have done, and what Imam Mehdi Sahib was Zaman alayhi salam will do. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. We won't have to imagine in our mind, can he dodge a bullet like Neo from Matrix? We're not going to have to think in our mind, can he fly like Superman? We're going to see what the world, bring your thousands of years of technology. Oh, you have refined uranium. Oh, you have night goggles. You have heat-seeking missiles. You have all of this stuff, but they're not going to take down the Imam, are they? So we're going to see. We're going to see what could have happened on Ashura. Right? That's one thing that Hazrat Abbas reminds me of. The other thing he reminds us of is preparation. I don't mean preparation because Hazrat Abbas was a great soldier who in the Battle of Siffin, Hazrat Ali had him enter the battlefield with a mask on so people wouldn't know he was a little kid as he destroyed and annihilated the enemies, but everyone knew he was a little kid. In fact, Abu Zaza was challenged to beat this little kid, and he said, I don't want to fight this little kid. I'm a renowned warrior. I'm going to send my sons. And this little kid defeated all 7 of his sons in Abu Zaza in a snap. And he took off his veil, and everyone saw the moon of Qamar bin Hashim standing there shining and looking towards the battlefield. And that was Abbas. And that's not the preparation I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that yesterday we discussed how Imam Hassan prepared for Ashura by writing a note for Janabi Qasim, right? Bibi Fatima Zahra, she prepared for Ashura by showing Bibi Zainab how to put hijab on your hair and cover your hair when you're under the naked sky on the night her daughter was born. And Hazrat Ali prepared for Ashura by marrying al-Banin, so he would have sons to represent him on the day of Ashura. Banin, the mother of sons. She had sons to represent him on Ashura. 4 sons. Right? On the day of Ashura, Hazrat Abbas had told his brothers, he said, go make me proud. Go make me proud. And the 3 of them entered the battlefield together. And the 3 of them fought like only the sons of Ali could fight. Fought like only the sons of Ali could fight. When they were done with the battle, Umar bin Saad was sending spies to try to figure out if there was a new type of swordsmanship that they didn't understand how to do. There was no way. There was no way. How are these people killing all of our soldiers? And their soldiers are wondering, why do we always have to cheat? Why do we always have to cheat? Why is it that when we're fighting, you tell us that we're brave soldiers, and then you tell us, hey, we want you to cheat? And these guys come out here with peace, and we keep surrounding them. We keep hitting them, and we keep killing them. We keep doing this. These were the people who came out and announced to us, we're the sons of Ali. We're the sons of Ali. We just killed them, and we cheated. They didn't beat us. We're cowards. And the soldiers started thinking this all day as the day dragged on. And the day dragged on. Why didn't Abbas fight? The war would have been over. Why didn't Abbas fight? Because Abbas was the commander of the army. When you're in war, how do you win a war? How do you determine who wins a battle? Who's killed the most? No. When you overtake the other side and you capture their commander is when the war is over. Right? That's why Hazrat Abbas had to go last. If he would have gone first and gone martyr first, war is over. Right? In order for the war to be over, you have to capture, am I wrong? Right? So Hazrat Abbas was the commander. So soldiers fight. And when there's no more soldiers left, the commander goes. And the soldiers went and never came back. One by one by one. Cheating the other side did. Old men. We're killing old men. Now we're killing children. Old Muhammad came out. They separated the brothers and slaughtered them. Then Janab Qasim came out. They saw Imam Hussein picking up the pieces of a child. The soldiers had enough. Had enough. Then out came a man, looked like Prophet Muhammad, Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salam, and we killed him too. And then, after all of that, there was nobody left. There is Imam Hussein, there's Hazrat Abbas. And they had a plan that we're going to go and we're going to finish this war together, brothers, side by side. Right? There was nobody left, no soldiers left. Now keep in mind, when water had been finished, they didn't make an announcement, the water is done. The kids still thought there was water. Hazrat Ali Akbar, when he came back, he thought there might be water somewhere. If he'd known there was no water, he wouldn't have come back and asked for water. Right? The kids were alatash, what's going on? Right? You know, Hazrat Abbas actually took 30 men to go get water a couple days earlier. They filled up 20 skins of it. He took 30 men, and there was a little scuffle, and he came back. You know, people think Hazrat Abbas didn't fight on the day of Ashura when he was going to bring the people that had been surrounded and help them come back to safety, and they had been martyred. He went, and there were soldiers he had killed, and people had seen what Hazrat Abbas could do. Right? But this time, to finish off the war, it was going to be Hazrat Abbas and Imam Hussein. They were going to go out as brothers, right, and finish this off because no one could see the other one die before them. Imam Hussein wanted to leave Hazrat Abbas so he could take care of the women. Hazrat Abbas, there's no way he would allow Imam Hussein to die in front of him. So they were going to go out. But the sounds of alatash rang in their heads. And Imam Hussein looked at his brother. He said, before we fight, go get them some water. And so Hazrat Abbas had mounted his horse to go get the water for the children. Alatash. And Bibi Sakina heard this and she gathered up the children. She gathered up the children and they had their little bowls, their empty bowls. And those empty bowls remind me of the children, the orphans that had bowls full of milk on the day Hazrat Ali was dying. When the doctor said the poison is spreading, there were orphans with bowls. But even on the day of Hazrat Ali's death, those bowls were full of milk, weren't they? These kids' little bowls, little cups were empty. And they stood there and Bibi Sakina said, don't worry, my uncle Abbas is going. And Hazrat Abbas went to go leave to get water. He had his sword, he had the alam, he had the mushk, and Imam Hussein stopped him. And he said, hey, I'm going to take the sword. Carry the alam. And the soldiers watched. The battle zone was here, the tents were here, the water was here. Hazrat Abbas started raging out towards the battlefield where they were trying to separate into factions. One was going to attack Hussein, one was going to attack Abbas. He was going towards the water. And they had not seen any of the soldiers do this. What's Abbas doing? They thought he was a coward. He's a coward. Children are thirsty and he's going to go to the water. See what I'm talking about? Umar bin Saud was getting ready to say. See what's going on? And so they watched. And he went all the way up to the river. And he took the river in his hands and he looked at it. And he told the water, he said, I'm not going to drink you until Hussein and the children of Hussein drink you. And everyone heard this. And they couldn't imagine what they'd seen. And he filled the mushk. And at this time, like I said, children were being killed. Old men were being killed. People wanted the war to be over. I wanted the war to be over. If somebody would have just stood up and done something brave, maybe everyone would have sided with them. There were a couple of people after Hazrat Ali Asr was killed, they said, what's going on? They were killed immediately. People were waiting for that spark to ignite so everyone could start leaving because they wanted everything to be over, wanted it to be over. And Hazrat Abbas had just gone water. They're seeing Abbas. They're ready for this. This was the climax of the battle. This is the greatest warrior. And they see him riding back with the mushk on his neck, right? And they're seeing seeing this, and a lot of them were hoping he was going to bring it back. Because as soon as he brought the mush back, Imam Hussein and Hazrat Abbas were going to raise their swords and go out. Right? And so he's bringing the mush back, and Umar bin Saad saw this, and he could feel the tension. They said the momentum shifted, right? He could feel the tension of Hazrat Abbas riding back to the khema. He said, don't anybody let him get this water. You let him get this water, the battle is lost. And everybody started charging at Hazrat Abbas, and they realized another reason they weren't charging at him, because even though he didn't have his sword, he had his horse with him, he had the alam with him, nobody could get near him. Anybody who got near him found out who Hazrat Abbas was. And then all of a sudden somebody jumped from behind the date palm tree and cut his arm off, and Hazrat Abbas, with one quick stroke, he caught the alam, and he started still defending himself in the water for Bibi Sakina. Somebody came and cut his other arm off. Hazrat Abbas carved the mushk with his teeth now, and the alam fell. And Bibi Sakina and the little orphans with their empty bowls turned to Bibi Sakina, and she dropped her bowl, and she raised her hands up to the sky, and she said, Ya Allah, I don't want water anymore. I don't want water anymore. Return my uncle to me. I don't want water anymore. The alam fell, and they could still see everybody surrounding Hazrat Abbas. No arms. Hurmala said he shot 4 arrows on the day of Ashura. One was an arrow he shot that went through the mushk of Bibi Sakina and pierced the mushk in Hazrat Abbas's chest, and liquid started to pour out. Hazrat Abbas looked down. What is this red water? What is this red liquid? Maybe it's my blood, and he had no arms to check. And right then, as he was going his head up, somebody hit him in the head with a pole. Hazrat Abbas fell forward onto his face with an arrow in his eye, and he hit the ground on his face. And Imam Hussein ran to him, and Imam Hussein said, now my back is broken. Now I don't know what to do. And perhaps it was because Hazrat Abbas knew that there was no way Imam Hussein was going to be able to bring his body back to the camp, that he said, do me a favor. I promised Sakina to return with water. Don't take my body back to the camp, my brother. I've never called you my brother. Please wipe this blood from my eye. You were the first thing I saw when I was born, and I want you to be the last thing I see before I die. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
Alhamdulillah, all praise be to Allah. I begin with the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. We ask that He sends His peace and blessings upon Muhammad and his pure family. Whatever good I say is from Allah's guidance through His final prophet and the Ahlul Bayt. And whatever I say that is wrong or mistaken is from my own deficiency, and I ask Allah's forgiveness for it. Today we'll continue our series of speeches based around questions someone new to the tragedy might ask. Yesterday we asked the question, today we will continue that. They say he knew he would die, but it wasn't just him. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he knew. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad wajirfan. He held Hussein as a baby and whispered, "This son of mine will be slain in the land of called Karbala." Imam Ali alayhi salam, he knew. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad wajirfan. When he passed through that land, his face darkened, his face cracked. He says, "Here is where the blood will be shed." Imam Hassan alayhi salam, he knew. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Poisoned in his final days, he turned to his brother and said, "No day will be like yours, O Abu Abdullah." Sayyidah Fatima, she knew. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. The moment she held her newborn, tears welled in her eyes, not just from joy, but from premonition. And Hussein, he knew better than them all. Not only the where, but the how. And still he went. Even his companions knew. They asked on the road to Karbala, "If you know you will be killed, why are you going?" And he answered, "I am rising to reform the ummah of my grandfather. If it costs my blood, so be it." They all knew. The tears were not from fear. The mourning was not from doubt. The grief was not for himself. So then the question must be asked, why did he cry? Why was the man who knew his destiny and the destiny of his companions still seen alone at night, shoulders trembling in sujood? Why did Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam find her brother with his face in the sand and his eyes full of tears? Why would a man so certain of paradise weep like someone afraid to lose? Was it fear? No. Was it regret? Never. So what? What broke the heart of Hussein? Let us return to the words of his grandfather, the Holy Prophet. The example of my Ahlul Bayt is like the Ark of Noah. Whoever boards it, it is saved, and whoever turns away from it, drowns. Every imam is an ark, but the scholars say that the ark of Hussein is the widest and the fastest. Why? Because it was open on the battlefield between arrows and ash. Because it offered safety to the killers while they held their swords. Because it sailed on blood and forgiveness. And yet they refused to board. They chose to drown, even as the ark begged them in tears. Do you remember when Noah cried? Not when the rain began to fall, not when the earth split open beneath him, but when his own son stood outside the ark and said, I will take refuge on the mountain. And Noah begged, "Oh Lord, my son is of my family." But Allah answered, "He is not of your family. His actions are not righteous. Because you are not only family, because you are only family to the prophets if you board their ark, not just by blood, but by obedience." Now fast forward to Karbala. There too was an ark. There too were people standing outside refusing to enter. And Hussein cried, not because his mission had failed, but because his nation had. He was their imam, whether they accepted it or not. His wilayah was not a choice. He was appointed to lead them to salvation. But they chose Yazid. They chose the mountain. They chose their own logic over the hand of God. And just like Noah's son drowned in a storm, they drowned in their arrogance. And the imam cried. Not because he was rejected, but because they rejected themselves. So why did he cry? Because he came to save them and they chose destruction. Because he was the ark and they were leaping from it into the fire. Because they were not just about to kill a man, they were about to kill their own last chance. Before going into battle, Abbas looked at Zainab and said, "I fear for the women after me." The Sayyidah Zainab approached her imam before dawn. Her brother was in prostration, the desert absorbing his tears. She said, "Brother, why do you cry? Are you afraid? Are you mourning what is about to come?" And Hussein turned to her with a face full of sorrow, but not for himself. He said, "Zainab, I do not cry for what they will do to me. I cry for what they will do to themselves. They are preparing their swords, not just for battle, but for hell. They are walking toward fire with my blood in their hands." Can you imagine that? A man moments from being slaughtered, weeping not for his family, but for the souls of those who are about to kill him. This is not just mercy, this is a divine heartbreak. This is the rahmah of the Prophet reborn in the body of Hussein. The sword would pierce his neck, but what broke him was the moment they chose to kill their own salvation. Even on the battlefield, Hussein cried out, "Do you know who I am? Am I not the grandson of your prophet? Did he not kiss me? Did he not love me?" But they turned their backs. They silenced the truth with spears, and Hussein cried. And this is why when Hud turned back, when he let go of his pride and ran to the ark with tears in his eyes, the imam smiled. Not because one man joined him, but because one soul was saved. Because the ark had wept, finally receiving a passenger. So we cried today, not because Hussein died. We cried because they knew and they still did it. Because they had time to turn around and they didn't. Because people still do that today. And so we ask, if they refuse to board the ark of Hussein, will we be ready to board the ark of his son? Because the Mahdi, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, the Mahdi that we await is the son of the man who cried for his enemies. He will raise not with rage, but with justice and mercy. But he waits not for the sword to be ready, but for the hearts to be ready. And when the Imam reappears, he will call out the same cry, "Is there anyone to help me?" Let us not be like the ones who heard it and turned away. And know this, when we turn away from truth, when we ignore justice, when we betray our prayers, we are not just walking away from faith, we are walking away from that ark. So today, there is one who still cries for us, the son of Hussein, the man who sees our every misstep, who watches his ummah struggle, drift, forget. And just as Hussein cried for the people of Kufa before they struck him, the Mahdi cries for us. Not because we've wounded him, but because we are wounding ourselves. For the tears of Imam Hussein and the ark of salvation that Allah has given us and our love for the Ahlul Bayt, please join me in a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farju.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So we continue with the subject that we started with. And today we are going to recall the 9 recommendations that Imam Ja'far Sadiq had given to the man who came to seek knowledge from him. He was his scholar himself, as we mentioned before. He came to Imam Ja'far Sadiq when he was 94 years old. Okay? Alaykum salam. So he was still seeking knowledge and traveling for it at 94 years. Briefly, I'm gonna for those who were not here when we started this topic. The man came to Imam Ja'far Sadiq and he was asking for knowledge. Imam Ja'far Sadiq told him few things about knowledge. That knowledge cannot be acquired until you start to feel, you establish the roots inside your heart and mind that you are a slave to Allah and not to anything else. And that helps you when you recognize that you are a slave, that you recognize that you don't own anything. Nothing belongs to you because you are a slave. Anything that is with you, you are being trusted with. And if you truly become a slave of Allah, you are going to see everything that Allah trusted you with as an amana, that is a load, that is a burden that you need to do exactly what Allah asked you to do with it. So you don't make choices on it. You just follow the rules of Allah with these things. And that makes it easy for you. Once you really accept that you are a slave, then it's easy for you to do the right thing with the things that most people will say, this belongs to me. And you, as a slave of Allah, you will say, this belongs to Allah, and I have to do what Allah wants me to do with it. I'm not going to do anything on my own with it. I'm not going to make any choices. I'm just going to do exactly what Allah wants me to do with these things, and it becomes easy for you to do that. So, but we went through a few points. I'm not going to go over them, but that's the main key. Then the man asked Imam Ja'far Sadiq after that. He said, Ja'far bin Muhammad, he didn't call him an Imam because most people didn't understand Imamah yet. So he just asked him, as my master, what would you recommend for me? He said, I will recommend for you the 9 things I recommend for every seeker of a truth. If you are a seeker, if you are trying to really accomplish the mission that you were created for, I recommend for you the thing that I recommend for everyone else when they come to me seeking that. These are the 9 things. So I'm going to go through them tonight, inshallah. And then he said, I'm going to recommend them for you, and I will pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you tawfiq to use them. 3 of those 9 is in training yourself. And 3 of them are in gaining hilm. Hilm is gentle wisdom, wisdom with gentleness and leniency. And the 3 of them are in knowledge, are about knowledge and how you truly acquire that. And then he says, and iyaka, and be very careful not to be hesitant in fulfilling these 9. Do not hesitate to fulfill them. Don't be shaken in them. Don't slack. Once you slack, all that advice is meaningless. You need to be serious. So follow the 9 seriously. So then he says, for the 3 things that are meant to train yourself, he says, be careful not to eat anything that you do not really feel shahwa for. Meaning, you don't eat until you are hungry. Don't eat just because there is food. Don't eat just because you were intrigued by the amount of food that was available and everybody is eating. You know, when we are around people who are eating, when we are a group, it encourages us to eat. Imam is telling him, don't eat until you truly desire it. So it's not after filling up our tummies. It's just eat for a reason, not to fulfill shahwat of food. Eat because you need to eat, and eat when you are hungry, and eat what you truly need. So this is number 1. Because he established a reason for that. He says if you eat when you are not hungry, when you don't need to eat, it establishes the roots of fullness in you. You become full. Over time, you reduce your mental abilities. Remember that at the very beginning, we mentioned that the most important, the most valuable gift from Allah to us is our mental intellect. Eating just because there's food available is going to diminish your mental abilities. And don't eat until you are hungry. Then he makes it clear. And if you eat, make sure the food you are eating is halal. Okay, halal food doesn't mean that it is not haram food. This is a very important point. Halal food doesn't mean just, I go to a Muslim place and buy food that is halal. Halal meat has to have also the source to be halal. You can the lamb is an animal that I can eat if it's slaughtered in a halal way, right? But assume that lamb was stolen and it was offered to me after it was slaughtered correctly and Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim on it. Is it okay for me to eat it? No. I have to make sure the source of the food you are eating is halal. The money that it was bought with is halal. So he didn't use any other word for it. And make sure that you eat halal and make sure to mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and remember the hadith. Every time you eat, bring to your mind the hadith of Rasulullah that says, Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. ما ملأ آدمي وعاء شرا من بطنه. You cannot, no human being can fill a container more devilish than the stomach. A stomach that is full is the least it's going to do is going to reduce your mental abilities. ما ملأ ابن آدم وعاء شرا من بطنه فإن كان ولا بد. So when you eat, make sure you keep your stomach into 3 divisions: 1 for food, 1 for air, and 1 for water. So leave room for air and water. Don't overeat and don't overdrink also. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to always be sharp in mind. And when you overeat, it will actually reduce your ability to think. And you can test yourself every time you eat. If you overeat, you're gonna feel lazy right away. And you feel like you don't want to do anything. It's already diminished many things in you. So these are the three things. The three things in wisdom and gentleness are, if you are talking to somebody and you say just the word one, like say one, you mentioned one dog, one cat, or one banana, or whatever it is, and but the other guy says, I heard you saying 10. Don't make a big fuss out of that. If it's not important, don't argue about things that are not important. Just say, and the Imam is giving an example. If you said one and the other guy says, I heard you saying 10, he said, if you heard 10, you didn't hear me say one. If you think I said 10, you didn't hear me say one. Don't carry on with an argument and trying to defeat his point. Just let it go. And he says, and for those who cuss at you, sometimes you are, you hear bad words from somebody calling you names. Then he says, if somebody tells you names, claims that you did something bad, tell him, if you are right, may Allah forgive me. If what you're claiming I did is true and it's haram to do or wrong to do, I beg Allah to forgive me. But if what you're claiming that I did is not true, I didn't do, may Allah forgive you. Don't, again, create a fight over things that at the end they are not really very important. They are not important. They don't lead anywhere. That makes you more gentle, more acceptable. Even your argument with your opponent will be less offensive and less tense. And then the third one that increases your knowledge and wisdom and gentleness, if somebody is arguing with you and threatening you, if somebody threatens you to harm you, tell them never threaten anyone back. And if he is saying that for you, for example, I'm going to do so and so and so to you, you say, I will be gentle with you, I will be merciful to you, I will give you advice when you need it. Don't respond to bad with bad. That is wisdom. That's practical wisdom. We heard that the information is in our mind now, but applying it is going to earn us the true wisdom. So these are three more, and there are three more in knowledge. The three more in knowledge, he says, ask those who know about the things you don't know. Number one, three things, okay, about in knowledge. Ask those who know about the things you don't know. And never ask to test. Don't go to a scholar and say, I'm going to test to see if he knows or not. Don't approach that. Somebody knows better than you, you just ask them, and just take what you learn from them. You may doubt it, that's fine, but don't argue with them. Don't show them that you are testing them to see if they knew or not. So if you know something, don't go ask about it. If you don't know, ask those who know. So this is number one. Otherwise, you cannot learn. You need to learn from those who know. And then do not make your own opinions about things. Anytime there is a way for you to seek knowledge about an issue and you are able to establish that knowledge, don't take chances that, okay, I'm going to try this instead. Don't. If there is a way to know how to do it correctly, find that way. If there's no way, then obviously you have no choice. But as long as there's a way to find what needs to be done in any matter correctly, ask and get that. Don't use your own opinion. And the last thing is, when you are asked about a problem, if there is a way that you can find somebody who knows better than you about that, don't provide any opinion. just tell them, okay, he knows better than me. Don't make any suggestions. If you can escape of fatwa, the statement in Arabic, wahrub min al-fatya harabaka min al-asad. Run away from making fatwa the same way you would run away from a lion. As long as you know somebody knows already, and they probably know better than you, just tell the person who's asking you, this person knows better than me. Go ask them. And do not make your neck pathway for others. Meaning, don't make suggestions to others to make their life easy because you suggested something that makes their life easy. And it is the wrong thing. Because the rules of Allah are not always easy. Many times the rules of Allah requires efforts, requires seriousness, requires genuine thinking and genuine dedication, and don't make things easy on others on the cost of you suffering on the day of judgment. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على. If you don't mind, we still have a few minutes before Salat. I am going to mention, it's not a story. It's something that happened on day one, on the day of Alam al-Zar. You've heard of the word Alam al-Zar. Alam al-Zar is the world before the creation. There is no time that any of us that have been born and died or will be born and die later that did not exist in the world of Allah. In the world of Allah, nothing was absent, nothing is absent, and nothing will be absent. Allah knows and is aware of everything at all times, all at once. So in Alam al-Dhar, before this Alam, we were created and not in this form. In Alam al-Dhar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about it in Quran, وَإِذْ أَخَذَ رَبُّكَ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمَ مِنْ ظُهُورِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّاتَهُمْ وأشهدهم على خلقهم ألست بربكم قالوا بلى شهدنا. The point is, in the day in the alam there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to us and He said to us, am I not your Lord? It has many meanings. One of the easy ways to understand it is by creation, the way we are, when we look at ourselves, we understand, if we use true and correct knowledge and logic, we understand we have a source, we have an origin, and that origin is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He is our God. We can see it with our minds. But in that world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala proposed, suggested, commanded all the prophets to give wilayah to Imam Ali alayhi salam. All the prophets, all the angels, all the creations immediately gave wilayah to Imam Ali. Nabi Yunus alayhi salam. Nabi Yunus alayhi salam, even though he did like everyone else, but he said, oh Allah, I want to know why. Among all the creation, you chose Ali. Why? Why? I just want to know why. He didn't have any opposition to the matter, but he just wanted to know. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, you will know. You will know why. So when that was also in Alam al-Zar, when Nabi Yunus alayhi salam was present in this life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the mission of guidance to a town that was around 100,000 people. And he stayed with them for 30 years, trying to guide them to Allah's way, that Allah wants them to do so they can reach their objective. After 30 years of struggle, only 2 people believed in him. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so Yunus alayhi salam and the other ones, did not ignored him, treated him not necessarily physically in a bad way, Not the same way people dealt with with the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Maybe they didn't throw trash on him, they didn't try to beat him up, they didn't throw stones on him, but they ignored him. Whatever, they would break their promise with him, even if they promised something. So it's like all of his efforts were not. And he prayed to Allah. He said, Allah, these people are not going to obey. They are not going to listen unless they get some punishment, something physical that they feel afraid, then they may be guided. So Allah told him, okay, tell them in 3 days, the punishment of Allah will come unto you if you don't believe, if you don't follow the rules. 3 days came, and the clouds came, and the clouds were full of maybe hail, big hails, you could tell, people of experience can tell if the cloud is carrying hail or not. And people were afraid. There was no shelter from hail. So the one of the friends of the Prophet, one of the two, came to the people, and he suggested that they repent and ask Allah for forgiveness, and Allah forgave them. And he pushed the clouds to the mountain, and he showed the destruction on the mountain by the clouds, saying, if you didn't repent, I would have destroyed your town, the same way you can see the mountains. But a few days later, they came back to the same thing. And that happened twice. The third time, Yunus told Allah, look, if you do the same thing again, you forgive them, then I cannot stay with him. It's meaningless. And the same thing happened the third time. Allah forgave them for the third time. Then Yunus departed from town. He said, Allah, if I can't guide them, there's no need for me here. And he left town, and he was swollen by the whale. You know the story. Inside the whale, what happened inside the whale? Angel Jibreel come to him. He asked him a few questions. He said, you lived with these people for 30 years. He said, yes. Had they beaten you up? No. Did they kill your daughter? No. Did they kill your cousin? No. Did they kill your son? No. Did they kill the other son? No. Then he showed him what happened to Hussein alayhi salam in Karbala. And it said that every prophet has his own mi'raj. And it said that the mi'raj of Yunus alayhi salam was in the whale. While he was in the whale, that the mi'raj of him that brought him closer to Allah was in the whale. Why? And by the way, Allah showed Yunus how much Imam Ali, how much Nabi Muhammad, how much Fatima, Hassan, Hussein have suffered to keep the nation together, and how much they paid, and they never gave up. They never said to Allah to punish them. Even Imam Hussein alayhi salam in Karbala, to the last minute, he didn't curse them. Until they killed Ali al-Asghar. Until they killed the baby, and none of them did anything about it. That's when there was no more mercy, and Imam Hussein cursed them at that moment. And that's how we know that these people are going to hell. So the point is, when Yunus alayhi salam realized how the difference between how much he dealt with and how much Imam Ali had to deal with, he said, oh Allah, subhanaka, la ilaha illa ant, inni kuntu min al-zalimin. Even questioning why Ali, I was wrong even to question that. There is nothing to compare. No prophet can be compared with the suffering of Imam Ali. Because Imam Ali, listen to this, when he was fighting in the battlefields, every time he was harming one of those enemies of Islam, enemies of reality, enemies of humanity, he was subjecting Hassan and Hussein and Zainab in the future to punishment. They were hitting Zainab alayhi salam because they hated what Imam Ali did. They were killing Imam Hussein because they hated what Imam Ali did, and they told him that. قالوا إنما نقاتلك أو بغضا منا لأبيك, because we hate your father. We are killing you because we hate your father. Why did they hate their father? The father. Why did they hate Imam Ali? Because Imam Ali did what needs to be done, knowing that the result is this: I am going to pay for what I'm doing by the blood of Hussein, and still did it. We, when we have a choice, we are always afraid. Maybe if I did that, my children will be harmed. Maybe if I did that, my business will be harmed. Right? Imam Ali didn't save anything. He didn't. He knew exactly what was going to be the result, and he did everything according to the rules. And that's what makes Imam Ali alayhi salam and the rest of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam different than anyone else. Different than anyone else. And it was very shown explicitly by what Imam Hussein did. He gave all of his friends, he gave all of his family, he gave everything and himself too. Not only that, he subjected his sisters to be enslaved, right? His children, they were taken as prisoners of war, and at one time they were supposed, when they were suggested to be sold. Ruqayya or Fatima, the daughter of Imam Hussein, somebody asked Yazid, can I take her as a, as a slave, as a sabi? So that's what I wanted to share with you also about Ahl Bayt. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.